Hey everyone, it is Danny and welcome to this update video. I hope that you're doing really great. And so we will be taking a look at what is going on across the Caribbean and surrounding areas, and we'll also be focusing a bit on that tropical wave out there, which we could see develop into something as we're going to be heading into next week. And so before I go into details, please do subscribe if you haven't yet done so and tap the bell so that you never miss an important video. Alright, so as we return to the infrared satellite imagery, we can see that there's lots of showers and thunderstorms developing this afternoon across some spots in the Caribbean and surrounding areas, which is something typical. And out there's also low pressure systems producing all of that shower and thunderstorm activity we see mostly to the east of Bermuda. And then as we look into the main development region, there we see that activity, a couple of tropical waves out there. So one is approaching the Caribbean, another is further out, and then that next one closer to the Cabo Verde Islands, which we could see try to get itself together as we head into next week. So as I said, we'll be going into some details with regards to it. But firstly, we're looking at the Caribbean and surrounding areas. So we're starting out with Northern South America. And so here we have it, and we can see that there's a lot going on this afternoon, that daytime heating resulting in those showers and thunderstorms developing across some spots in Venezuela, Guyana, and even Suriname as well. And so looking into the vicinity of Guyana and Suriname, that is where we have the axis of one of the tropical waves. As a matter of fact, let's go on to the surface chart. Now this shows the location of those wave axes. So they are marked by those orange lines, and there we have that tropical wave approaching. So as it makes its way into the Caribbean, it might enhance the rainfall, bring a bit more activity as we head into tomorrow and even going into Saturday as well. So let's wait and see what's going to be happening in terms of that. Let's go further up into the Caribbean, and here we can see lots of showers and thunderstorms across parts of the Yucatan, sections of Mexico, going to Belize as well as Guatemala, especially the eastern side of the country. Further down into some spots of eastern Honduras and Nicaragua, there is some activity moving in, but for most of the countries, as it is quite sunny right now, nothing crazy going on. Some thunderstorms near Grand Cayman and also in some spots in Jamaica. So you can let me know if you got some rainfall today. Let me know your location and if you got some rainfall activity. And then as we head up into Cuba, going to Hispaniola, some spots in Puerto Rico, there's also some isolated thunderstorms. Similar story across the Bahamas as well, and a bit of activity moving across the Virgin Islands and the Lesser Antilles, maybe bringing the most of a stray shower, but it is pretty sunny for most areas. And so guys, now we want to go ahead and return to that tropical wave. So as we go closer to the coast of Africa, here we have it, still looking quite healthy out there. So most of that dry air is to the north of it, but as it continues to the west and eventually making a west-northwestward track, it is going to be encountering that dry air, and that should infiltrate the system, resulting in a reduction of all this shower and thunderstorm activity. So I'm not expecting that it's going to be looking as impressive as we head into tomorrow, but let's see what's going to be happening with it. As we go onto the dry air map, here we have it, lots of dry air, especially those areas of those red shades. That is where there's a lot of dry air in abundance. And so that is why, even going back to the satellite imagery of the basin, that is why that area is vacant of activity, because there's just so much dry air in the area. So we find that the activity is to the south of it. So in terms of the system developing with regards to the dry air, I think it's going to have a struggle across the main development region, as I said, but I think that things will get more conducive closer to the Caribbean, and GFS is showing something pretty interesting. Certainly not impossible, but not something guaranteed, especially at this point in time. There are many possibilities on the table, but I will be taking you guys through what the models are expecting. So I think it's going to be struggling out there. It will be struggling out there. Matter of fact, this is not it is looking quite impressive now, even having some vorticity, but it is not marked as a disturbance to be watched by the National Hurricane Center. Here we're looking at the outlook map, and no new tropical cyclones are expected within the next 7 days. Of course, this could change because we're talking about the next 7 days from now. So I think eventually this wave will be highlighted, but let's wait and see what's going to be happening. So let's now go on to the sea surface temperature map. So there we can see that things get a lot warmer heading to the Caribbean, the Gulf, and even in portions of the northwestern Atlantic. We can see those temperatures, 29 degrees Celsius, 30, 31, even 32 in some areas, and some isolated spots could be even warmer than that. So especially in the Gulf of Mexico, if anything is going to be moving in here with other environmental conditions such as the wind shear being conducive, things are not going to be very pretty. And we've seen it a lot in recent years. I always talk about the fact that this isn't something rare to see. The Gulf is notorious for producing some intense cyclones, but that can only happen if other environmental conditions are conducive. It's not only about the very warm waters. So let's now go ahead and take a look at what the models have to show. So we're starting out with GFS. As I always say, GFS showing something pretty interesting, but also we have to take this with a grain of salt at this point in time because it is not guaranteed. So there we have the time of their end. We're looking for more of those circular black lines, which are called isobars, and they join areas of equal pressure. The colors, these greens, yellows, reds, they represent the precipitation rate. So this is as we head into today, of course, the 3rd of August. There we have all that activity in association with that tropical wave. As we head into tomorrow, we see it sustaining some of that activity, and then eventually, though, we don't see much. As I said, I'm not expecting it to be as impressive. So it is going to be encountering that dry air, which will help to keep the intensity of the system at a minimum. But eventually, as we make our way into Tuesday of next week, there we see all that activity on its approach to the northeastern Caribbean, the vicinity of it, head into next Friday, over a week from now, 8 days. There we can see all of that shower and thunderstorm activity in association with it, that next tropical wave behind. And then we're going a bit to the west here as we head into the end of next week. Notice this increase in moisture across the northern Caribbean and the vicinity of the Bahamas. So GFS is expecting the scenario of this making its way into the Gulf. And in the model run before this, it was showing something a lot stronger. And now for the 12Z run, here we have it, a lot more activity in the vicinity of the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and eventually something developing and making its way in the vicinity of the westernmost part of the Florida Panhandle. Very interesting here, maybe as a tropical storm. And so let's go on to other models. Looking at the Euro. So Euro is definitely showing all that activity out there, not showing much with the system, though, as we're going to be heading into the early part of next week. There we have all that activity in association with it, and likely that next tropical wave following behind that will be emerging soon. Heading to Icon now. Icon is also not showing a whole lot for tomorrow, and eventually, though, it shows that next system behind it. So that next tropical wave that will be emerging, and heading to Wednesday, the middle part of next week, there we have those systems. Lots going on, and that second one developing. So if that second one will be trailing behind that first tropical wave, there will likely be a lot more moisture that will help to bring along with it development, and then eventually head into the end of next week. Icon has it that, hey, this one is going to be developing in the vicinity of the northeastern Caribbean. So pretty interesting here what models are expecting. There are many possibilities on the table, and we also have to take into consideration the fact that we are in the month of August, and especially head into the middle to latter part of this month, it is going to get a lot more active out there. I really think that we are going to be seeing a tropical storm very soon, either from that current tropical wave or the next one to emerge behind it. And that is the kind of activity we're going to be seeing at a much more rapid rate, especially heading into September and the early part of October. So things are going to get pretty active out there. But of course, I'm here to keep you guys posted at all times so that you are never caught off guard. And so that is what I wanted to share with you in this update. I hope you found it to be informative. But if you have any questions, as per usual, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will respond once I get the chance. And as always, remember to be weatherwise.